Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Franchise Player, and I just picked up a Nintendo Switch Lite in 2024. I think it's a great time to get one, even with the new Nintendo console on the horizon. I'm gonna go over why I picked up a Nintendo Switch Lite so late in the game, so late in the Switch's life cycle. I'm gonna go over the pros and cons of the Switch Lite compared to the OG Switch and the OLED model. Then I'll go over why I think this is pretty much the best deal in modern gaming and ideal for a frugal gamer, a patient gamer, or someone who's looking to just game on a budget. All right, so the Switch Lite came out all the way back in 2019. It's been out for a minute, pretty late into the Switch life cycle, and I finally found a deal that I wanted to pull the trigger on. Long story short, my girlfriend plays the Switch a lot, and I was like, you know what, dude? I'm trying to play some Switch games too, and I've been looking for a deal for a while and finally found one that made sense for me. So Walmart actually had this bundle available. It was the Switch Lite Animal Crossing bundle. Comes with a full download of Animal Crossing New Horizons, and if you count the value of New Horizons is 60 bucks. I basically looked at this as getting a brand new Switch Lite for $100. So for $100 and the game, 160 all in, I don't think that was too bad of a deal. So let's talk about why I actually decided to pick this up. So first up, I don't really play my current Switch in docked ever. It's pretty much exclusively in handheld. And my girlfriend actually plays a ton of Animal Crossing on it already. And it's like, hey man, I have some games in the backlog I'm trying to get into. So decided to pick this up since I finally found a deal for it. So the portability is amazing too. Don't get me wrong, I think the original Switch feels good in hand, it feels premium, but there's something about the size of the Switch Lite that I actually think I prefer. It just kind of feels like an old school Nintendo handheld in the best way possible. Time for some pros and cons, and we're gonna roll with the cons first. So first con for most people, for me this is not a con, but a con for a lot of folks is gonna be that you can't dock the Switch Lite. So this isn't something that you can play in the TV. This is exclusively a handheld system, which I actually don't mind at all. Another con would be is that the Switch Lite does not have a kickstand. So the OLED models and just the traditional Switch model has a kickstand that you can use for tabletop mode. So if you are wanting to play this tabletop and connect a Pro controller or Joy-Cons, you're gonna have to prop it up against something. One con and a huge concern that a lot of people have when looking at a Switch Lite is what happens if you get stick drift. So the Joy-Con stick drift apparently was a huge problem. I still haven't dealt with it luckily, but it is pretty common. If you get it on a Switch Lite, it's not like you can just pop the Joy-Cons off, man, and get a new pair and you're good to go. This you'd actually have to get it repaired. You can't just slide a new Joy-Con on and basically fix the problem that way. So if you do get stick drift, you're gonna have to get it repaired, which might be a con. Let's talk some pros here. First off would be pricing of the Switch Lite. So I think $199 at this point in the Switch cycle is definitely a bit high. I think it should honestly be like $179, $150, something like that. If you're able to scoop one of these up for, let's say $150, $160, something like I did on sale, and it comes with a game, I think that's a great deal because it's really the cheapest way that you can have a modern system to play games on. I know the Xbox Series S is pretty affordable too, but $150, I'd say under $200 for a brand new Switch Lite is pretty hard to beat. This was a pretty big pro for me was the Switch Lite actually has like a legit D-pad. So the OG Switch and the OLED have, kind of its own funky wannabe D-pad. This is awesome. It feels much more traditional, and I really just prefer the actual kind of old school original feel of a D-pad. So might be for me being kind of a older gamer, but yeah, I'm a fan of this feature. Another pro that I really like about the Switch Lite is it's super portable. And the original Switch is, it's a pretty good size system, but it doesn't really feel like something that you can take with you, anywhere. The Switch Lite is definitely still on the bigger side compared to older school handhelds like a Game Boy Advance or a PSP or an original DS. But I love the size of this system. It's definitely, a much more portable feel to me, especially compared to something like the OLED model or the original Switch. So if you want something that's a little more portable, I think this is a really great option for you if you're taking a look at which Switch model is right for you. Another small thing to note, and this might be a pro for some people, is that since it's a smaller screen on the Switch Lite, a lot of people say that due to the density, this looks a little bit better than the original Switch. I personally haven't really noticed a difference from playing on it about over the week that I've had it, but yeah, the screen does look good nonetheless. Definitely not an OLED, but still looks really good to me. So now let's go over some reasons why I think the Switch Lite is maybe the best deal in modern gaming. So if you're on a budget, maybe you haven't played games in a minute, or at least anything current or recent, the Switch Lite is a super good value. I think at $199, Nintendo's kind of tripping with how old it is. It's like, guys, it's been 5 years. Let's drop the price, especially with a new console coming out soon. But if you can get a brand new one like I did for, under 200 bucks, $159, $169, I definitely think it's worth it, considering you're still going to have pretty current and modern games at your disposal. Another reason why I think the Switch Lite, or just the Switch in general, is a great deal in modern gaming is Nintendo Switch Online is only like 20 bucks for a year, and that's substantially cheaper than PlayStation Plus or Game Pass. PlayStation Plus is getting hella expensive. It seems like they're raising the price. I know they just did recently. I'm sure Game Pass will get more expensive here, sooner or later. So 20 bucks for a full year to play online and be able to play some old school Nintendo games, not a bad deal. One thing to keep in mind is the Switch only comes with 32 gigs of internal storage. Luckily, it's super cheap to expand that storage. You can jump on Amazon and grab a 128 gig SD card for like 20 bucks. So definitely worth doing. Now, if you're picking up a Switch at this point in its life cycle where it's, pretty close to the end, you have a massive amount of games, a huge catalog to look at, right? From great first-party Nintendo titles to third-party games, ports and remasters, and indie games. I definitely think for the next, couple years at least, you'll probably get some releases from third-party developers and maybe some ports of older games and indie games. So if you're picking one of these up in 2024 and you're like, man, I don't know, am I kind of buying a dead console? Even if you don't get a ton of releases, man, you have a massive, massive catalog of games to fall back on. And I definitely think you'll see Switch releases for at least the next couple of years. Maybe not huge Nintendo titles, but definitely third-party games. So you definitely don't have to worry if you're concerned about the game department. The Switch Lite is still easily the cheapest way to actually, jump into the Nintendo Switch ecosystem. I see, locally on OfferUp, Marketplace, things like that, Switch Lites, used ones going for about 120 or 130, pretty often, occasionally 100 bucks too. But the OLED model's 349, which I think is pretty steep for what it is. And then the OG Switch is still, $299, which I think that definitely needs a price cut as well. So Switch Lite is definitely the most affordable way to jump into owning a Switch, and I think is totally worth it if you're just wanting to pretty much test it out and see if you actually like the platform. All right, so that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. So far, I'm really happy I picked one of these up. I think the Switch Lite is an incredible handheld that will probably get releases for the foreseeable future, indies, ports, you name it. I think you're good to go with getting some new releases for quite some time, even with a new Nintendo console on the horizon. But yeah, let me know what you think of the Switch Lite. Do you have one? What do you just think of the Switch Lite overall, especially compared to the original model and the OLED? I think it's definitely a good move for, folks on a budget and that are looking to, game on the cheap. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you soon with another video.